Welcome to Talented Universe on this 8th day of November in 2025. Oh, it's going to be an interesting day. That's all I can say. But first, I'd like to welcome my co-host today, Marcia. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yes, it's November. I'm here in Northeast Florida. It's getting cooler. I'm enjoying it, and I am thrilled to be here.
No hurricane today?
Mm-hmm.
No hurricane today?
No hurry. It's been quiet this whole season, so
Isn't
we're
that
happy
nice?
about
It's
that.
good.
I think I've had worse little storms than you
I
have.
think you have.
Whatever. But, I'm way up north, so there you go. But anyway, I would like to welcome our special guest, Ms. Christopher Callen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm really thrilled to be here, and I'm so excited to talk to you all and everyone out there. And
Everyone out there in the cyberspace, yes.
That's right.
Now, I am going to throw the question I asked to most of our vertical guests. I think I only haven't asked one or two.
Okay.
But when you started Verticals and you tried to explain to your non-acting friends what you were doing when you said, "Oh, I'm doing a vertical drama," or you said micro drama, and they gave you a funny face and they didn't know what you were talking about, how did you explain it to them? Or did you just say that and then go on?
Well, you're right there, because I started not in the very, very beginning. I think like 3 years was probably the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But I started a year and something ago.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, even today, some of my friends, I say, well, I've done so many of these, and they'll say, vertical, what's a vertical? And I usually say it's a soap opera on steroids.
That's a good one.
Because it has that drama. Things are going on. They always leave you hanging.
Mm-hmm.
And, people get hooked. People get invested in these characters and these stories. And I think that it really is the did I say modern age version of a soap opera, because unfortunately the soap operas, most of them have dwindled, so that they are so off the air that when I was a young person, I remember them and I was either on them or watching them. So I think it fills a void.
It does. It does. Now, you saw the first question that came up earlier, and I'm just going to put it back up and read it because you got all excited about this.
I did.
So Arc 54 says, "I'm a huge Christmas movie fanatic and even bigger music storyline crazy person. Can you tell how you got the part of Sherry Dean in Music City Mistletoe? And when is the DVD release date? If you
okay,
or can talk about it, that's it."
I can talk about it now. We had a big red carpet event in Nashville where it was shot. That was about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I was shooting a vertical.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
So I couldn't join my wonderful castmates, but Chantel Ogden is the writer and producer. And I got it through Actors Access. I have a manager, but I was the one who saw it first. And I just submitted myself because I saw the Sherry Dean character, who is like the third lead, whatever. She is the comic interest in a way, because she's full of life and she is helping the main woman, who is a songwriter, because I played Sherry Dean, who is her music producer. So it's like an agent kind of thing.
Right.
So, and I was throughout the movie when I looked at the script and everything. So there was a back and forth, I auditioned, and it was a taped audition. So the great thing about tapes, you probably heard from actors, is that you can kind of really send in what you think is your strongest take. Right. However, you get no feedback. So I just read over the description, and immediately I just happened to be listening to a lot of Dolly Parton at the time
Oh, there you go.
and seeing some interviews of her. I just adore her.
Mhm.
So, but I had just regularly, she's kind of there. But recently I thought, and I went, this is Dolly Parton. She's, supportive. It's like, and I'm going to add a little accent and, so, that's right, honey. You just hang in there, you hang in there like a hair in a biscuit, and then you'll just be fine. We just need a little grace from God. So anyway, it was just wonderful. And I dressed the part for my audition. I wore a blonde wig and lots of eyelashes and a low cut dress thing. I really went for it. And then it came back to my manager that they were really interested and they loved what I did with the character. And I think that's why I got it, because even when I arrived there in Nashville to shoot for the 2 weeks or whatever it was there was, they were just so sweet and complimentary that they just felt that I brought so much to the character. So I believe that, for those actors out there, you have to be bold. That's one thing I really try to do always. And I think it's a winning strategy. You're not trying to copy anybody else. You're not trying to think of, like, how would this be? What do they want? I don't think about what do they want. I think about how can I best tell the story in a way that makes me excited as well. So I don't know, I'm kind of blah, blah, blahing on it. So I hope that answers how I got it.
Yeah.
And it was shot in Nashville, so it was a thrill to go down there. And I actually have a niece who moved there recently. And I had one day afternoon off. And we
that
went
was it?
Cowboy boot shopping. I'm sorry?
That was it? Just a half a day?
No, half a day off.
That's what I meant, half a day off. Yeah.
Not
that's all you had
shooting.
off? Oh,
No,
my.
Yeah. That's usually,
I know. You didn't stay longer, or you had other
No, I couldn't
commitments?
stay longer, but I did have that afternoon with my niece. And so
Yeah.
she showed me around Nashville and the places she liked. And we were trying to find red cowboy boots because my mother's from Texas. And she always said, if you're a lady in Texas, you got to have red cowboy boots. We didn't find any that we liked, but we had a good time.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, I will go ahead and throw it over to Marcia for a little bit, and then I'll get back to some of the other questions in the chat room.
Thank you,
Michael.
Thank you. So I was so excited when I saw that you were coming on with us for a lot of reasons. But first, one of the things that we kind of talked about a little bit before we got on air is your name, because the first assumption is that Christopher is a guy. But so I know you have this question probably a billion trillion times, but we want to know too.
Okay. Well, thank you for asking, because people assume, they often say that when they hear my name, oh, that's a man's name. I guess your dad wanted a boy. And I was the first of 8 children. Wow. However, and he probably would have liked a boy. However, it wasn't that. My parents were traveling to find out where they were going to kind of land. My mother was from Texas. My father was from Bronx, New York. They met doing a USO show. She was the choreographer. He was the director. So it's very MGM romance. Then at that time, they said, well, we should move west and follow our creative dreams. So they moved, but they didn't know anything about the West Coast. So they kind of started at the top and they kind of wound their way down. And while they were doing all that, I was born. So Patron Saint of Travelers for Irish Catholic people was always Saint Christopher. And so they said, boy or girl, we'll just name the child Christopher. They didn't think about what, boy or girl. They just thought it was a great name. And do you know that through my acting and singing, I've been able to live, work, or travel in 41 countries?
Oh, my.
So they knew something, and I love to travel as well. When I first, I think every actor has that moment where they made a decision, or artist. They go, oh, I could do that, Mine came when I was then living now with my family in Los Angeles. And I was 11, and we went to see My Fair Lady at the Shrine Auditorium here, where the big New York shows come in. And it opens, and they've got all those people singing like strawberries for sale or whatever. And I looked down as a little kid. We were up in the high heaven seats. That's all we could afford, and looking down, I go, they get to sing and dance and travel. I can do that. So I knew there was traveling in the equation somehow, even then. So traveling is something I love to do, and it's been a great blessing and joy in my life.
Well, and had you ever considered a stage name for changing Christopher or changing it? Did you ever consider that?
No, I used to go in my beginning stages. I went by Chris, and then I kind of outgrew it. It was like I was tired of people calling me, well, Christine. No, it's not really Christine. Christina, no, Chris, no. And I just, maybe that happens for other people. I just felt like, I've grown out of that name. But it's funny that you say a stage name, because actually Christopher Callen is a stage name. It's one I have used for so many decades. I am Christopher Callen. That's it. And when I was married, my husband was a lawyer, and I said, should I change that legally? He said, well, if you've had it for 10 years and you've opened bank accounts and you have your social security number under that, it's legal. So I never did. And then recently, when I had to get the little driver's license,
the new one, yeah.
Whatever. Do you know they would not recognize Callen? They recognize my birth name, which is Callahan, Irish. Christopher Jane Callahan. So believe it or not, I'm thinking now I'm going to just change it legally, although I hate to do that. And it's awkward because I just became a dual citizen of Ireland as well this last year. That's under Callahan. That's through my grandfather. So, but I'm Christopher Callen. That's it.
Well, and Michael knows I love to put coins in the Wayback Machine, where we've already kind of been in the Wayback Machine a little bit. Your stage work is phenomenal. And I grew up actually in New York City. I was born and raised. I was born in Harlem and raised in Queens. So, and even though we didn't have a lot of money, but as you probably know, in the school system in New York, a lot of times they'll give free tickets out, for previews and things like that. So I went to as many shows off Broadway, on Broadway as I possibly could. And yeah, I get goosebumps when I look at some of your stage work. For instance, you were in 1776 and you played Martha.
Yes, I took over for Betty Buckley, who created the part. But this was the original company.
Wow.
And the only person who left the company was Betty, into the run of about 6 months or so, I guess. And that was my first main role on Broadway, although when I came to New York, I've had a magical life. I love New York so much. It was very good to me because within 8 weeks I was on Broadway, believe it or not.
It's amazing.
From when you went?
When I left California, I went to school in San Francisco. I paid my way through school in San Francisco being an actor because at 17, I was totally on my own.
Wow.
And I had to support myself, and I knew that was something that I could do. And so very wonderfully, when I was in college getting a drama degree, although I wanted to be a nun first, very seriously, and was going to study social work. But I was in the social work program for 1 week and I went, oh, what does this have to do with helping people? I don't think this is my thing. And then I went to the drama department and I never looked back. Wow. So I went there, and that's how I got through school. And then the minute we graduated, I sold my little VW Gold Bug for $300. I took 150. I bought a one-way ticket to New York. I knew one person at the rehearsal club. It was a place where young actresses who didn't have a lot of money, whatever, could stay. It was a residence just for women in the arts. And she was there and she got me a room. And there's a book, by the way, that's out on Amazon. I have to plug it. It's the Cinderellas of 53rd Street. And I'm in the audio version, and I tell my story of being there when I first got to New York. So that's where I lived. And then I got this job. I was understudying the leading lady on a Broadway show there at City Center. And it was Brigadoon. You would probably know that, Marcia.
Yes.
That show.
Yes.
And then that Thanksgiving, I was actually on a float with all the other people in plaid, you know, dancing in the Macy's parade. And I remember thinking, I've made it. I'm in New York, and my family all over the country can see me here, you know. So it was very exciting and a very exciting time. So then I got a job going off on the road and in the national company of Fiddler. I played Huddle.
Huddle, yes.
I came back to town after about a year and a half, and I auditioned for 1776 to replace Betty. And I got it. So that was like, oh my gosh. And everyone in it were the original people, these amazing actors there. So I spent the next, I guess it was almost a year that ran. And it was an amazing time because it was a hotbed of political activity. And we actually had bomb threats.
Oh, wow. Good grief.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You know, they would hold the curtain while they checked the theater to see if it was going to blow up. That happened about 5 times.
Wow.
Because I don't know, you know, for whatever reason. But there've been some exciting things like that that have happened. I mean, I've seen all the assassinations. I know we're not getting political, but I was in Baltimore out on that tour of Fiddler on the Roof when Martin Luther King was killed. And we were in Baltimore, and the lead actor said to his daughters that we played, I'm going to the airport right now. We're going to fly out rather than stay over. Do you want to come? I said, yes. So we got in this limo. It's like, why are we in a limo? But anyway, we got in this limo, and we all had to lie down on the floor because there was all the shooting going on. And then we got to the airport, and we had the last plane out.
Incredible.
It was just such a sad, horrible, terrible day. Such an incredible man, as we all know. So I've had a magical life. All I can say, you know, I just so many things like that.
And another
but 1776 was a joy from beginning to end.
Oh, and it's brought a lot of joy to millions of people in many incarnations. But it's so exciting to hear your story about that. And a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum,
that was done at the York Theater, which is considered an off-Broadway theater. You may have seen things there. And the thing I remember about that the most was that I worked directly with Stephen Sondheim. Oh, how lucky, how magical, right? He was kind of coordinating, and he broke his leg during that time. And everybody said, well, he probably is not going to come to opening night, you know. Sure enough, he came in on his crutches, and it was just so sweet. He was such an amazingly kind man and appreciative of artists. And I'll never forget that he did that, you know. That was just, and it was so fun to play that wife, dominator. Yeah, it was a great fun show to do as well. I've been very lucky. I mean, the shows that I've done have always been fun and great, and
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, we could talk for a long time about
We'll
the
have to talk.
stage.
We'll have to talk privately because,
Yeah, and
my father was not only in the Bronx, but he was in Queens, and I
oh
had
really?
all these Irish cousins that I only got to meet once on a trip back when I was like 6 years old, and I was so thrown that they could live in an apartment house that was so exotic. And then
Hmm.
they showed me how they could push all the buttons on the elevator and then jump out, and it was so much fun.
Oh my goodness. Let me go back to Michael before I continue on my journey with you.
Yes, yeah. I was afraid about the New York thing there. We have some fun when we talk about New York with guests. And Arc 54 asks, did your name prevent any doors from opening for your career, or did it help because it made them take a second look at your work?
I don't think that it got in the way of anything at all. I do know that in personal terms, I'll never forget one time I was at a party and I met someone, not in the business, I think, just a gentleman, and I was introduced. And it was the strangest thing because it really bothered him. All he could say was, well, that's a man's name. Like that. Like say that to me, like that. No, 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 no. I said, no, my name is Christopher. No, that's a man's name. I said, well, no, because I'm a woman and it's a man. It's not a man's name. It's a woman's name because it's mine. It was the only time that anybody like, I mean, seriously, not just a joke or anything. So that's the only thing. However, the world has changed a great deal. And I don't know who they expect to see when I go. I did a play a year ago and it was wonderful called Pang Spa here with Chalk Repertory Company. And I played an Alzheimer's patient. And it was also about the riots here that took place in China, Koreatown. So it was about this Korean family. And the playwright, his mother is actually Caucasian, and I played her. So it was a wonderful play. But, if somebody doesn't know my work and they see Christopher
Mhm.
in the program, they don't know, like, who's playing this part.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's never been an issue. No producer has ever talked to me or director or casting person about it. I claim it completely, wholeheartedly, for all the reasons that I spoke to before. I think it's a perfect name for me. So that's a good question, though. Nobody ever asked me that.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's one from Elizabeth Cooper. Hello, Christopher. What made you interested in acting? Let's just go that far first. What
Okay.
got you interested in acting? I think you
Well,
kind of said it, but
Yeah.
might want to
not,
expand on it.
yeah, I started, which I didn't get to tell you, I started my professional career in Tokyo, Japan.
Mm.
My
That's
father was not in the service, but he was working for the Air Force. Prior to that, he was in charge of all the entertainment at Veterans Hospital Wadsworth here in Los Angeles, which is a mental hospital. So
mm-hmm.
he put all together all the programs for them, and he was like a liaison to Hollywood. Then he took a job up in Northern California, and we all moved up there, kind of outside the wine country, and that's when I went to high school and then to college in that area. But during my high school years, for almost 2 years, we lived in Tokyo. And he was in charge of all the entertainment in all the air bases there. And there was an opportunity at the NCO club at this Tachikawa Air Base. There was a 13-piece, all Japanese band members band that played. And they played jazz and they played American standards, and they were looking for a vocalist. And my father said, now you're going to have to audition, for this, but you might want to do that. I said, yes. And I did, and I got it.
Oh,
So
wow.
during my high school years, I would go to school in the day. Then I would go home and eat very quickly. And then I would be at the club by 6:30. And then I would work till midnight. And then on the breaks, I would do my homework, and then I would start my day again. So 6 nights a week I was working. And
Wow. This was
it
in high school?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I learned the language enough to get along. My parents and my family were very interested in learning the culture and the language. And I started singing in Japanese, at first phonetically, but then I got to know what I was saying. And then I was getting asked to be on movies and television in Japan. And
Wow.
I thought I was going to stay there maybe and just have a career. But my father got ill, and it didn't seem feasible for me to stay. I had one more year of high school, or half a year of high school, and whatever. It was more of a fantasy of staying. I was heartbroken, but I came back, and then, life worked out anyway. I went to San Francisco State, and the rest is history, as they
Rest
say.
is history.
But that's where I started. So the reason I say that is because I always looked at singing, which I could always do naturally very, very well. And I sang in choirs and in, the school programs, whatever. I always looked upon it as telling a story, that it was an acting thing. Then you happen to be singing. I've always felt that way. And in fact, I teach a class when I can in person. I've let it go with COVID, but I coach, and I teach a class, and it's called Acting the Song, because I feel that that is the most important thing, the communication. So I feel, I've always been an actor, whether I was a singer, and I continue to be, whether I'm singing, I'm always acting. And then I became very interested in acting when I was brought out here to Los Angeles from New York, because then it was because I had done, thank you, Marcia, I'd done lots of Broadway, lots of roles on Broadway. I starred in 12 shows on Broadway. And I was starting to lose out to people who had their TV thing and so I thought, not only should I go out there because I would have a stronger thing for New York, but I wanted to expand my experience and try new things. I like to always challenge myself. So then I became interested in film, rather TV for a while. And now I'm really interested in film. I love film. That's my favorite. But I'm happy to
Wow.
do anything with the acting and singing.
Hmm.
But I hope that answers the question.
That
That's
answers
how I
that
got.
part. That
Yeah.
answers that part.
Yeah,
And
what's the
then
rest of it?
the
Let's
rest of
see.
it is what type of stories do you like to perform? Horror, drama, rom-com, something else? Do you
Yeah,
have a favorite, or do you just like everything?
I do have a favorite.
Okay.
As I said, I wanted to be a nun. I wanted to save the world, but I found another way to try to do that and uplift people. So I like to do stories like, like Music City Mistletoe, that are fun, that are great, that uplift people.
Uplifting. Mhm.
However, I also like to I did another film that I love too this year. It's called Lineage. And it's a true story about a family in the Depression and what they had to go through. And I played the grandmother in that. And I'm very proud of my work in that because, it's very, very different from what I'm known for, which is more character, upbeat, fun things. In fact, by coincidence, the editor for the director wanted her own reel and had a little bit of that, and she chose a scene that I was in. And I didn't know this, but I know the editor, who also Kim First, who also has been the editor for Tom Cruise for a very long time on his little clips and things. Anyway, she said, "Is that Christopher? Is that Christopher?" And sure enough, she wrote me and was like, "Yes, that's me." So that was a very, very dramatic part and very touching. So I like to do things that are upbeat, enlightening, maybe provocative, that make people think, but ultimately in some way make them better, their lives better.
I think your character name was, Nana Cooley. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember
Yeah.
I was reading about that when I was looking you up, and I go, "Oh, this is something recent." I said, "This looks interesting."
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really wonderful. It's so recent that I don't think I have a clip up yet on some of my things, but it's there and wonderful.
And then her last little Elizabeth's
Let's see,
last
what's
little
the last
comment
little part?
was, she goes, "I love Miss Dolly too.
Uh,
Any favorite movies of hers do you like?
well, of course, the first one that comes to mind is the famous one of 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Yeah.
Because she was just so herself. She's always herself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the beautiful thing about actors. I think, people will say, well, I got to find how am I unique? And I remember hearing that, and I didn't feel very unique. Especially as a young actress, I was always playing the nice leading lady or whatever. And I've come to feel, yes, we're very unique. We just have to follow how we see the character, how we see the part, and go with it 100%, like I said in the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah.
And she is a model of that. Nobody's like her, and she just saw this barrier, that barrier in her career, and she's just like, I don't care what they think. I'm going this way.
Yeah.
And she's a real inspiration to so many people, and she's it seems she's contributed so much to charities and things like that too. So anyway, yeah, I'm a fan of Dolly's as well. Boy, it would be nice to meet her someday. I've met a lot of wonderful people, but it would be very nice to meet her one day.
And then there's a comment that Maria Walicki says, such a wonderful story, Christopher. Truly magical, improving and uplifting lives is so needed. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Maria. It's so true, isn't it, right now?
It is.
It feels like the world is in chaos. We're told every day if we're watching the news, which I do not watch, by the way, and I suggest you don't, because you hear it anyway.
Yeah, you do.
If it's something really important, you're going to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, let's be honest, the news, they want to sell clicks. They want to sell stuff. So of course they're going to have these headlines where this is bad and this is bad. Anyway, I don't mean to get off on it, except I think it's really true. It's easy to get caught up in that tornado, and especially now, because we're so inundated, aren't we? Everything. So I appreciate very much being in the arts right now. And I think, what can we do? What can we do? We can look at the beauty in life every day. So that's what I try to do. I walk my husky dog, and I say, wow, that's a beautiful flower. And I really look at it. Or, in our environment, we can control our environment with our family and our friends. We can help each other and be maybe extra kind to each other in these times. So anyway, I'm afraid I'm on my soapbox, but anyway, I'm so blessed again how lucky am I to be in a business that gets to create every day. And I say, when I'm on a set, I always pinch myself and say, oh my goodness, I get to create today. Let's see what we can create. So I think there was a point of that other question about, maybe I've answered it, about what kind of things I want to do. And that's it. And I just wanted, try to uplift in the world. And if we all did that, how nice that would be.
It would be. Now I am going back to Marsha for, I know she's got a bunch of other questions, and then we'll probably wrap it up pretty soon after that. Well, she's mentioned some of your hot topics, Marsha.
You're so fascinating. And I love your tagline there, actress and Renaissance woman with 3 exclamations. Because I've discovered through, again, looking at your work, that you truly are, and you seem to continually expand yourself and don't put limits on anything. You're an artist. I saw a few of your art pieces, which are quite large, substantial. One particular where you had a plank that had a tree growing through it.
It's right here in my living room. I don't think I can show it, but I don't know where there it is, standing next to the fireplace.
Which is fascinating in itself. So tell us about that discovery.
Well, thank you. I am so happy to talk about this because, as I said, I have a magical life So my mom, especially her family, they were artists, and I've always drawn, as I said, and been part of that on the side. And I was doing Menopause the Musical up in San Francisco some years back. And I just made a decision like I want to do more art. This gives me the opportunity. I really want to be out there as an artist. And I started just seeing things. I was staying there near Aquatic Park, and I was doing the show at night, and I was doing art in the day because I was actually dating an artist, and
Mhm.
he was entering a show, applying, bringing some of his art. I thought, well, I could do that too. And then I got into the show too.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was really cool.
Yeah, really.
But I had art on the brain as
Mm.
well. I was like really had my attention there. And I was walking my other dog, another dog long ago who died after 14 years. Great. And I was walking along the beach and I went, oh my gosh, look at that. And there was this piling because it's about 5 foot tall. And I looked at it because inside there is a tree growing within the wood of the tree. And
Mm.
I said to myself, I often do this with my art. I know exactly what to call it. I went, persistence.
There you go.
I mean,
Yes.
here's this tree, little tree, and it's going and it's just going to go up. It's going to go up. And
Mhm.
I said, okay. And then I had a little Jeep at the time. So I took my dog home. I got my car. I drove it down onto the beach. And I don't know to this day. It's like when they talk about when a mother picks up a truck and saves
Their
her
job.
dog or her
Yeah.
child. I swear I had, because I picked that up by myself and put it in the car, in the Jeep in the back. I mean, I had to lift that up to get it in. So anyway, I took it home,
Mhm.
and I had a welder friend, and I had an idea of how to weld it and whatever, and we created that at his workshop, and
Mhm.
I love this piece. I haven't sold it yet ever because I didn't want to sell it, but I may
Oh.
be getting to the point where if somebody gave me enough, I might.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then I would travel somewhere.
And is there something that you're working on now than an art piece? Or
Well, I again had a magical experience where it's too long ago, but it's because of the verticals. I've been working at one after another and turning down work in the verticals, and I'm not complaining. I just have no time, I felt, for the art. But just in the very beginning of COVID, when we were saying the 6 feet thing, I was
yeah.
at Trader Joe's line, and I had made a decision like I have to stop hiding out. I want to be an artist that is known as an artist, not just an actor. Shouldn't say just an actor, but as an actor and an artist. And I happened to get talking to the fellow who was in front of me. He said, I'm an artist. I even teach a class, blah, 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 blah. So we exchanged numbers. I lost his number. 6 months later, I happened to find it. I called him. He said, oh, I remember you. And we talked for about an hour. He said, I don't think I can take you in my class.
Hmm.
What? He says, because you're a real artist, I can tell from talking to you, you have something to say, something to do. He
Hmm.
said, but however, what I do with people sometimes is I just kind of mentor them. You can call me if you have a question. And also what you should do is join me and my wife, and we go to all the galleries. We know the owners. I want you to get a sense of the LA scene. His name is Richard Bruland. His
Hmm.
wife is Dory Atlantis. They are world-renowned artists.
Wow.
And they know everyone here in LA. So they've been taking me around. So even when I'm doing verticals, they're so sweet. They say, you're working. It's okay. Would you like to come to this gallery or that gallery? And I've met some
Oh my
wonderful
goodness.
people and wonderful other artists and gotten a sense of that. So I'm not sure what your question was now.
About
Well,
what art piece you might be working
Oh,
on.
well, yes. So I have a number that I made when I was up in San Francisco. And the next step is he said he would come and help photograph it because there's a wonderful artist group there on Robertson Boulevard. And I would like to become part of their group. So that was my next step.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling us you're a clone because you do all these verticals. You do art, you you sing, you teach.
It's finding time for all these things. However, I've heard this and I totally agree. They said if you want to get something done, you give it to a busy man or woman, a busy one, because we
They
get
get it
things
done.
done.
They get it done. Yeah.
I've never been one to say I'm bored. I don't know what to do. That's the problem. I have so many ideas all the time to get them all done. I won't get them all done, but there are some that I want to get done.
So are you one who still uses pen and paper, or do you do most of your stuff on computer? Do you actually still?
I'm very old school. I have a blog every day that I love about AI. So it's, I'm trying to stay intellectually current on it.
Yes.
It's quite astounding.
Mm-hmm.
What happens every day that they report on. However, I don't think so. I like pen and paper or paint. Even when I'm painting a wall in a bedroom, I go, I love to paint.
The physicalness of touch.
The physicalness of it. I feel there's energy, when I go to a museum and I see a Van Gogh, I like to get as close as I can without upsetting
the guards coming and snatching you away.
Don't you? And you look at the brush stroke.
Oh, yes.
And you go, oh my gosh, look at that. That came from him.
Yes.
So I feel we imbue our creations, whether they be writing, singing, art, acting. We imbue that with the human spirit, and I guess we could do it through AI too. It is a tool, but it doesn't interest me right now so much.
I am with you there. There's a question that someone asked me to ask you, and I'll because they discovered that you have been on some soap operas, and also in your stage work. So they heard that sometimes at the final performance of a stage piece, some people will cast members will play tricks on each other or do little gags. Now, number one, is that true? And have you been a part of it? Or
It's true. And I'm old school. I do not participate in that. I don't believe in that. I believe that the audience is coming, they paid their good money, and they want to see the best show possible. In fact, if we have one more minute before we go away, I have a very famous story to tell about that.
Oh, yes.
It was not closing night, but I was working on the first revival of Fiddler on the Roof with the original creator of Tevye, and that was Zero Mostel.
Yes.
And I worked with him for a year and a half, and he really became a very good friend because I was married. I had just got married at the time. My husband was Jewish. His wife is Irish, Kate. And so, I don't know, they just kind of took us under their wing. However, we were performing, and this was once we got back to New York, I believe. No, it was when we were out of town in LA. And I have a very tender song that I sing, home from the far from the home I love. And I'm saying goodbye to Papa. And I had a little basket, and there was supposed to be food and stuff in that, but it was just, nothing, but there were things in it, and then a little cover. Earlier in the day, or when I first got to the theater, he had a wonderful ritual. He kept his door open, and we girls, especially his daughters, would always say, "Hi, Papa, how are you?" He would say hello, give a hug, So anyway, somebody had given him some kumquats, little teeny kumquats,
Yes, yes.
And he said, "Oh, you want to?" And then he went like this. It was not, it was before the Me Too movement. I didn't take it, like that. Anyway, he goes like this, and I was not very endowed at the time. And he goes, I said, "Okay, that's it. Come on, I'll stop it." And I left. We get to our scene. far from the home I love. It's the very end. I'm saying goodbye to Papa. And he goes like this, and he lifts the cover, and there are kumquats in there. And he looks at me, and I go, and I keep in character, and we end the scene. It's blackout. I knew he was going to go to his dressing room. I come storming off.
Oh my gosh.
I was like a 20-something fury. And I said, don't you ever do that to me again. Don't you ever do that. I hate that. And he just went like that. And I said, I'm really sorry.
Oh my gosh.
And later I thought to myself, especially now as I tell the story,
What did you do?
I'm glad I stood up. I know that was the Irish in me, I suppose. He probably was used to it with his wife.
That is great.
But to his credit, he never tried it with me.
He never did it again.
And it was
Bravo.
sweet. I mean, he meant it sweetly, and he was such a dear man. The only people that he usually did those kind of things to were people who would say the lines the same way, even if the scenery fell down on their head. So he never did it, you know, and that little thing was just his way of endearment.
Yeah. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And I know that he'll love hearing that you answered his question. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, our time is sadly over, but Christopher, we would love to have you back on again, especially when our other co-hosts can join us, because there's some stuff I know she wanted to talk to you about that we didn't even touch on.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Michael. I would love to come back anytime. You are so wonderful, and I just feel so blessed. I've had a magical life, and I feel like hopefully these are fun stories and that people enjoy them and have a better day because of it.
Absolutely. Well, I think they will when they listen to some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for inviting me, for finding me, and inviting me.
Well, I'm so glad that you did come and you said yes and all that stuff. But to our audience out there, there was a lot of people watching, and we had a few people comment, but I guess people get scared doing live
or they get
comments.
Fascinated by the stories.
Or they're fascinated and they go, oh, it's over with. I didn't ask my question. But, but just look again, like, subscribe, and follow us. And then you can see when Christopher's going to be back on with us, and that's the key. So then you can get in early and be all prepared and ask your questions. But everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.